the criminal justice system, the people,
Pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care.
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law. You're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
Yes, welcome to the United States of corruption. We have everything from Supreme Court justices that are completely on the take to senators who occasionally go a little too far. And Democratic Senator Robert Menendez is one of those senators, now indicted on federal corruption charges.
What?
Yes.
It's funny,
And-
I was just reading this indictment, and they have a picture of gold bars. It's
And
crazy.
Kim is right. Gold bars, part of the payoffs that the government alleges Bob Menendez, I call him Bob, he is alleged to have taken gold bars along with hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. And by the way, he kept that cash because one might like to keep the cash and not put it in the bank because it's more traceable if you put it in the bank. He kept that cash in a bunch of jackets that had his name on it. So when they actually went in with a search warrant, there's all this cash and gold bars and a luxury vehicle. And there's it was like a huge crime scene there at the Menendez household. And by the way, it was the whole household involved. Not just Bob, but his wife was involved as well.
What?
Yes.
There's the gold bars. Yeah.
It's
There's
the
money in
best
the
kind of
jackets.
best kind of bribe, everyone. Cash, money. And so Senator Bob Menendez indicted today, this just happened this morning, on corruption charges. The indictment filed in Manhattan, one of our favorite places to file indictments.
Yeah.
It was following a federal investigation that claimed that he allegedly accepted luxury goods, large sums of money, and bribes in exchange for committing corrupt acts, including providing sensitive information to the government of Egypt. Albert, you have the story. We'll run a little bit of this report, and then we'll talk on the other side.
Accusing them of a bribery conspiracy, and it's really complicated here. It's multi-pronged. It accuses the senator of accepting cash and gifts, including, as you mentioned, gold bars, a luxury Mercedes-Benz vehicle, in exchange, and they call it bribery, for taking official action to benefit the people that were paying the money in three separate arrangements. There was an Egyptian figure who had a halal meat business that got an exclusive deal to provide halal meat to the government of Egypt, even as Senator Menendez had significant influence over foreign U.S. military sales and military aid to Egypt. And the indictment details a series of allegations where they say Senator Menendez exerted that influence and pressured Egyptian officials, even as he was helping this company. And then separately, it says that the senator intervened in two separate criminal matters involving his associates, trying to stop, essentially, the criminal investigations into those people in exchange for financial compensation in the form of bribes. And what's so shocking about this, Anna, is it's coming just 6 years after Senator Menendez narrowly escaped conviction in a separate and unrelated
that was a hung
corruption
jury,
case.
right.
There was a hung jury. The Justice Department decided not to retry him. And he was admonished by the Senate Ethics Committee for taking gifts and luxury items from a friend of his in exchange for official action. Again, not
Admonished is a
convicted in
dinger.
that case, now facing these very serious criminal charges on him.
There you go. So that'll give you a sense of where we are. And, I mean, it was all there. It was about.
Let me just pop in with one of these facts. They call it an incredible detail, okay? Prosecutors allege Menendez returned from an Egypt trip in 2021, and he searched online for, quote, how much is 1 kilo of gold worth?
That is great. That is a great fact. Yeah.
Oh,
How can I
man.
flip this stuff? Right.
Yeah.
What's the street value of the payoff I just got in gold bars? Wow.
You can't make it up.
No, you cannot.
The more cha-ching you got, the more cha-ching you get.
Well, that's true,
right,
Kim.
baby.
This has got some real cha-ching
The
to
more
it.
cha-ching you got, the more cha-ching you get.
So, look, this, as we've said and was noted in that report, is not his first rodeo when it comes to corruption. This is a corrupt senator. He got a mistrial the last time, and he's back at it. He is on the take. He and his wife, they are literally stuffing money in their pockets as quickly as they possibly can.
They're stuffing it everywhere.
6 years after he skated on the first corruption charges, he's going to be back in court on more.
$480,000 in cash hidden away, $70,000 more in the wife's safe deposit box, and $100,000 worth of gold bars.
Yeah. He included, his wife, which was smart.
There's a reason that this place is fun.
Yes, it is fun when the whole family's involved in the corruption. Yeah. Probably let her drive that Mercedes is what I'm guessing.
You know what's different about this, though, is, I don't know, what's different about us, I guess, is corruption is corruption. And it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican. It feels like people circle around Clarence Thomas. Oh, no, whatever. No, corrupt. This guy, Democrat, corrupt. If they're corrupt, it doesn't matter the party.
Oh, of course you're right. I mean, but sadly, we're so tribal now that, whether there's a D or an R there is important. But the reality is it's not. This guy is, and they don't think that this is the end, by the way. In the statement today, the federal prosecutors say there may be more. And they are encouraging anyone, let me see if I can find it, the actual quote. Essentially, they're saying, anyone with additional information, please contact our office. Here it is. We're not done yet. Encouraging anyone with more information to come forward. From 2018 to 2022, so he had just skated on the last corruption charges with the hung jury, and he's right back at it with the government of Egypt. This is a very powerful senator. Bribes that got, as we said, the whole family involved and included compensation for a low or no-show job. I mean, this is good old-fashioned political and Jersey corruption. You've heard about it, kind of the stereotypical. This is all there. So that's the latest on Robert Bob Menendez and his wife. They will not be driving that Mercedes anytime soon to court because I'm guessing the feds have seized that. But they likely will be very busy paying lawyers to handle this. His wife is Nadine, by the way. She's 56. He is 69. And again, he's chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. So when you ask him to get involved in issues with the government of Egypt, it's a pretty big deal. And apparently he turned over government documents and information in government documents to this country, to Egypt. So it all stinks, but it's not over.
The Mark Thompson Show.
As we continue with Law and Disorder, we get to another ProPublica report on Clarence Thomas. Again, he of, what was it? Humble stock?
I come from regular stock.
Regular stock, that was it, yeah.
Just kicking it in the Walmart parking lot. That's
Let
all.
me put my credibility glasses on and share with you. Again, ProPublica did break the story about, dozens of private jets and, all of the various trips he took, the different parties he attended at, these are freebies doled out by billionaires who did have business before the court. Now, there are revelations about the donor summit at the Koch network. K-O-C-H, as in Koch brothers, Charles and David Koch. You're familiar with them. Political organization founded by these libertarian billionaires. They throw their money at academic institutions, and that seed money also ends up in a lot of local races in politics. They're smart. If you read the Jane Mayer book, Dark Money, she details essentially where all this Koch brothers money goes, and it's designed to infiltrate the U.S. and kind of, incubate those super conservative, very pro-business, pro-corporate positions and philosophies that inform the Koch brothers, right? Anyway, this huge party, essentially, some of the richest people in the country arriving at this annual winter donor summit of the Koch network. It was attended by Clarence Thomas. Just after 6 p.m., a Gulfstream G200 jet touched down on the tarmac, where so many of these private jets had already landed. One of the Koch network's most powerful allies was on board that Gulfstream G200, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. During the summit, the justice went to a private dinner for the network's donors. Thomas has attended Koch donor events at least twice over the years, according to interviews with 3 former network employees and 1 major donor. Again, you know, Thomas is under no obligation to reveal any of this. So this is reporting on the part of ProPublica. They have to both source this stuff, then they have to corroborate this stuff. This is really quite good reporting. The justice was brought in to speak in hopes that access would encourage donors to continue giving. Look at this Supreme Court justice that we brought in. That puts Thomas in the extraordinary position, this is from ProPublica, of having served as a fundraising draw for a network that has brought cases before the Supreme Court, including one of the most closely watched of the upcoming term. Thomas never reported the 2018 flight to Palm Springs on his annual financial disclosure form. That's an apparent violation of the federal law requiring justices to report most gifts. A Koch network spokesperson said the network did not pay for the private jet. Since Thomas didn't disclose it, it's not clear who did pay for the jet. Thomas's involvement in the events is part of a years-long personal relationship with the Koch brothers that has remained almost entirely out of public view. It developed over years of trips to the Bohemian Grove. That's that all-men's retreat. It's in Marin, or where it's in the Bohemian Grove it's right north of San Francisco, right, where they have this. And they've been doing these.
Myself. It's up here where I live in Sonoma County.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So he stayed in a small camp with billionaire Harlan Crow and the Koch brothers, according to records and people who've spent time with him there.
And they dance naked at midnight around the trees in the forest.
It's the most ridiculous, like, frat boy thing. It's insane. Yeah. And now the way we know about this, just to digress on this Bohemian Grove thing for a second, the reason we know about this in some detail is because they treat the help, okay, quotes, so poorly that now the, quote, help is chirping and talking. I mean, they're working people who are, and everybody's given these, you know, butlers and valets for the period that they're there, and they work them so tirelessly, like they, if that's the word, you know, relentlessly might be a better word, that they, you know, they're working 15, 16, 17-hour days from what I was reading. And as a result, and they get paid pittance, they're peed, man. They're irritated. They're angry. And so they start telling stories. And that's how we know so much about it. Anyway, Clarence Thomas and his wife attended a series of these various meetings that the Koch brothers have sponsored and put together. And in so doing, they help benefit Koch brothers institutions when it comes to fundraising. So this is I think it's an ongoing embarrassment to both this country and to the Supreme Court. Here's a quote. "I can't imagine. It takes my breath away, frankly, that he would go to a Koch network event for donors." That's from Johnny Jones III, a retired federal judge appointed by Republican George W. Bush. Jones said that if he had gone to a Koch summit as a district court judge, I'd have gotten a letter that would have commenced a disciplinary proceeding. Quote, "What you're seeing is a slow creep toward unethical behavior. Do it if you can get away with it," Jones said. Yeah, I think it's less than a slow creep.
Yeah, I was going to say a slow creep. We're full on out there with all of it. From the gold bars to the Lear jets. I mean, come on.
That is exactly right. Kim is 100% right on that. So that's the latest revelations. Those are new from both the Menendez trial and also the revelations around the Clarence Thomas. So
more revelations around Clarence Thomas. I mean, every time you turn around, there's another one about him.
Yeah, it's true. He's a walking revelation, is what he is.
I come from regular stock.
Yes, I know.
The guy's had his hand out for years.
Yeah. He doesn't even have to put his hand out anymore. They stuff it right in his pocket. So.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Continuing with law and disorder, there's more. Biden has named Harris. He's given her a new job. He's named her as the first federal gun violence prevention leader. He set up again, it's designed to target homicides in certain areas that primarily Black and Latino communities.
Like a task force?
Yeah, task force. Yeah. Thank you. That's exactly what it is. And it'll be overseen by Kamala Harris. I'm laughing because, man, they do not give, I mean, you know, I'm not a huge Kamala Harris fan. And by the way, that's more, I'm talking about her top of ticket. I'm not a fan of her running for president. Maybe I should put it that way. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I think she's certainly, you know, very super smart and capable in many, many ways. But I'm just saying as a top of ticket candidate. So I'm not like a rah-rah Kamala Harris person. But I will say she has gotten, they put the worst crap on her plate ever since she got to Washington as vice president for Biden. They have given her the border crisis. I mean, the border crisis, are you kidding? That is an absolute no-win. There is nothing you could do. If you reduced immigration flow by 50%, it's still a mess. So, and she has no powers to really do anything. So she goes to Central America and she deals with leaders in Central America to try to reduce the flow of immigrants there. There are ways to maybe rebuild those economies a bit to try to prevent the economic incentive from being one more reason that people come to the U.S., et cetera. Then they give her, what was the other thing they gave her, Kim? They gave her one other thing that I thought, wow, she cannot get a break.
They got gun violence, immigration.
And one other.
Wasn't that it? Was there one other?
No, there's one other. It's something like, I forget what it is. But now it's gun violence. I mean, here we have this problem with gun violence. You can't do anything. You can't, you know, if you do anything, the Second Amendment people come at you, and there are a lot of them. And if you don't do anything, it's like, look, you didn't do anything. We gave you the gun violence thing and didn't do anything. So I'm quite sympathetic. But nonetheless, they have given her, again, this position. It's the nation's first federal office of gun violence prevention. The White House said in this statement that it'll be overseen by Kamala Harris's office, directed by Stephanie Feldman, a longtime Biden gun policy advisor. Hey, at least they're doing something and recognizing it.
I mean, they're giving her a pretty visible thing to do as well ahead of the election. So maybe they want her in a more visible role.
Well, here's my Kamala Harris finger puppet. And she was very happy today with her new assignment. By the way, she's here, as you can see behind me, that's Frederick Douglass on her right, yes. And that, unguessable, on her left, Kamala Harris is here. This unguessable, not a political figure, an artist and inventor. The great artist and inventor. I'll give you a closer look. So this is Kamala, and this is, if you guessed Leonardo da Vinci, you get points today. Yes,
Those are
anyway.
kind of cool puppets. Maybe for the year anniversary, we should have a Mark Thompson puppet show.
Maybe we will. And you know something, you make a good point. If I had a little box of Mark's favorite things, a Leonardo da Vinci finger puppet and a Kamala Harris finger puppet would be in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think finger puppets are a bad gift to give a young person like 11 years old, 10 years old for a birthday?
I mean, finger puppets are really for everyone, but you are getting past the point of little kid gifts, you know? They're more into electronics now, so they might open the finger puppets and go, huh. Unless you had someone like, if you gave Julia a Ruth Bader Ginsburg puppet, then she would have dug it. But
thank you.
If they're into a certain person, then maybe the puppet would be cool. I'm going to say no on that.
Well, I'll tell you why. I gave her a game, which she loved.
Okay.
My friend's and she was playing the game she was like, you couldn't stop playing the game. So she was clearly into the game. It's not an electronic game. It was another kind of game.
Okay.
And I gave her I gave her a finger puppet, a Harriet Tubman finger puppet, everybody.
Nice.
And it's a very, not often seen. So, yeah, it was a very woke birthday party.
How did the Harriet Tubman gift go over?
I don't know. I kind of threw it in as an added thing. It was mostly about the game.
Okay.
But I will say that when I went back over to the house, they did have the Harriet Tubman finger puppet out when I visited.
Okay.
But I later thought maybe they just put it out because they knew I was coming over. You know what I mean?
It's a possibility.
It seems like that might be the more likely scenario. But anyway, that in the disorder of American cities and rural communities, gun violence is a real thing. And so now Kamala Harris will head up that office to try to do something about it. That's Law and Disorder for today.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.